Cheers. Hey guys, welcome to today's video. Today we'll be doing a cumulative book haul. I have 30 books in front of me and these are all the books that I've been purchasing since the beginning of the year. We have a little bit of everything, some fantasy, some romance, some fantasy romance, some manga, literary fiction, so there's something for everyone. Since we have so many books, let's just get started. I didn't organize these books in any way by genre or anything like that. It's gonna be a little bit random. The first few books that I'll be talking about are books that I have already read. I have Bride by Ali Hazelwood. I think I gave this about 4 stars or so. Ali Hazelwood is dipping her toes into paranormal romance. Follow our main character, Misery, and she's a vampire. In this world, there are 3 different divisions. There's the humans, the werewolves, and the vampires. And we see that our main character is a vampire. In this world, there are alliances. So for example, vampires currently have an alliance with the humans, and the vampires and the werewolves don't really get along. So then Misery has to form an alliance by moving into the werewolf territory, where she meets Lo Morlin, and then romance ensues. It's not heavy on the politics, but there is still a good amount of politics. Next up, I have Acts of Desperation by Megan Nolan. This is a literary fiction novel where we follow our main female character. She actually remains nameless throughout the novel. This follows her tumultuous relationship with this guy and her obsessive ideation of being in love and being in a relationship. Even though these two are aware that they're not actually in love with each other, we just watch through her eyes of how she views love and how she views this current relationship. Okay, moving on to the books that I haven't read yet. First one I see here is Binding 13 by Chloe Walsh. This is a YA romance novel, and I believe in the first 2 books we follow a certain couple, and in the next 2 books we follow a different couple, and then so on and so forth. Hoping that I like it as much as everybody else does, but we'll definitely have to see on that. Okay, I just want to say a little disclaimer. There are a lot of second books in a series that I haven't started, and this is no different. I have Ruthless Vows by Rebecca Ross. I haven't started Divine Rivals, but I'm definitely going to start that soon. It's been on my radar for quite some time now. I am someone who chronically buys second books in a series for something I haven't even started yet, so don't come for me. But in Divine Rivals, we follow our main character, I believe, who writes letters to someone. Okay, I didn't say that I was gonna be good at giving synopses. I like going into my books a little bit blind, so I'm gonna give you as much as I know. But I know that our main character, I think her name is Violet. Am I remembering that right? I think her name is Iris. And she sends these letters to who she thinks is her brother, but in reality someone else gets them. And then there's a romance, and there's war, and there are gods. And then the next one, I have Iron Flame by Rebecca Yarros. This is the second book after Fourth Wing. When I did purchase this, I started reading Fourth Wing and I realized that I'm not loving it as much as everyone else is loving it, but I am still intrigued. I did do a soft DNF of the book. I'm hoping to get back into it soon. I just don't know when. From what I know, a lot of people don't like this book as much as the first one, and because I'm not really enjoying the first one as much as everyone else is, I'm assuming that there's a chance that I might like this one more. You have to read to see what I think about that. I have another literary fiction novel right here, and this is Big Swiss by Jen Beagin. In this, we follow, I believe, someone in their 20s or 30s. She has this infatuation with someone who she shouldn't have an infatuation with. I believe it's one of her clients, and she works as a therapist, or she works for someone who is a therapist. So we just watch this relationship unfold. But that's all I know about this one. The next book I have, I'm very excited about. This is Slaying the Vampire Conqueror by Carissa Broadbent. This is a standalone fantasy romance novel, and I believe the world in this novel takes place in the Crowns of Nyaxia world. Follow these characters, and it says that our main character was supposed to kill our male main character, I'm assuming. I also did hear recently that Carissa Broadbent's 3rd book in the Crowns of Nyaxia series is coming out later this year, so I do want to read this before that one comes out. It's an adult literary fiction novel following our 24-year-old female main character Cleo, who just recently moved from England to New York, and I believe she finds this guy. I think they met in the first chapter because I did read the first chapter, and then I'm assuming that we just watched their relationship. Okay, we have another second book in a series. I haven't even read the first one, but that's Bookshops and Bone Dust by Travis Baltreed. This is the second book to Legends and Lattes, which is a cozy fantasy. From what I know, this is a prequel to Legends and Lattes. They're opening a bookshop rather than a little cafe, so I am very excited to get to this. The next book, we have another cozy fantasy, Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies by Heather Fawcett. From what I know, we follow our main character, who I believe is a professor, and she specializes in fairies. And so people say that it reads kind of like a textbook, and I love this edition. I do really like the original one, but this one's pretty as well. And there are deckled edges. I don't even know if you can see that. So I have one horror, I think, in this whole stack. This Thing Between Us by Gus Moreno. I love this cover. Stunning. I have no idea what this is about, to be honest with you. I have this thing where I keep buying horror books, but I get a little too scared to actually read them. But I'm hoping this one isn't too scary, but I'm hoping to read this one pretty soon. It is short. It's about 250 pages, so I could definitely knock this out really quick. Okay, this next one, I have Gothicana by Rue Nix. I haven't read her Predator series. This synopsis, it really intrigued me. Our main character, she goes to this school, so it's like dark academia, and then I believe she falls in love with her professor. It's supposed to be really dark and eerie, and I see that we get 2 points of views, so that's interesting. But I haven't heard that many great reviews on this. People say that her Predator series is way better, but I do want to start off with this since this is a standalone. Okay, so we have another romance novel. This is Part of Your World by Abby Jimenez. I do own the second book in this series, which is Yours Truly, which I haven't read yet. I've heard great things about her novels, especially Yours Truly. From what I know, a lot of people enjoy Yours Truly a little bit more, but I'm someone who likes to read my books in order, even if they are interconnected standalones, and it doesn't really matter. This is also kind of thick. I guess it's not that thick. It's less than 400 pages. So these next few books will be fantasy. I have Powerless by Lauren Roberts. Everyone and their mother is reading this right now and saying amazing things. This is a young adult fantasy romance, and I've heard a lot of people say that this has like all of the tropes that everybody enjoys mixed in one. This next one is House of Flame and Shadow by Sarah J. Maas. Don't judge me. Don't judge me. I don't own the first and the second books. The reason why I purchased this one is because it was at Costco and it was significantly cheaper, so that's why I purchased this in the hardcover. I am planning on buying the first two in hardcover since all of my Sarah J. Maas books are in hardcover, except for A Court of Thorns and Roses. That one's in paperback, but it's the original covers. I know a lot of people don't enjoy this series as much as Throne of Glass and A Court of Thorns and Roses, and I do want to catch up and read all of her books. I don't think it'll happen this year. Hopefully by the end of next year I'll have all of her books read and I'll be caught up with all of it. We have A Fate Inked in Blood by Daniel L. Jensen. This is a new release and look at those edges. This is an adult fantasy romance and we follow our main character, and this is a Norse inspired fantasy, and then she is married to this guy, but she falls in love with the guy's son because their marriage was a marriage of convenience. People are giving this mixed reviews, but I'm hoping to get to this one soon. These next two books, they're from my Book of the Month subscription. The first one is The Wishing Game by Meg Schaefer. I think that this is one of the finalists for Book of the Month's Book of the Year, and everyone describes this to be like a cozy, heartwarming read. We follow Lucy. She grew up as an orphan. During her childhood, she fell in love with this series written by the author Jack Masterson, and now she's 26 years old and she's mentoring one of these students who's 7, who's also an orphan. Jack Masterson, the author of the series, he announces that he wants to hold a competition at his home island to grant the winner a chance to read the manuscript. So Lucy competes so that her and Christopher can read this book series that they've been dying to know what happens. The next book of the month book I got for last month is Annie Bot by Sierra Greer. This is a adult literary fiction novel. We follow our main character named Annie, who is an AI robot, and she meets this character named Doug. The question is what it means to be human. Still Beating by Jennifer Hartman. From what I know, this involves kidnapping, falling in love with your captor, or either the two main characters were both kidnapped and they fell in love with each other. I heard that this is really dark. I think it might be sad as well. Done and Dusted by Lila Sage. The second book in this series, Swift and Saddle, just came out. All I know is that this is an adult romance following cowboys in a ranch, and that's all I know about that. Notes on an Execution by Dania Kukafka. I think this is a literary thriller or a literary suspense. The people that I know have read this have rated this like 4 stars and above, and I feel like there's going to be a lot of good discussions in this. We have The Fake Mate by Lana Ferguson. The reason why I purchased this is because I really enjoyed Bride. People who have enjoyed Bride have read this. They say it kind of, not exactly the same, but you know, the Megaverse and all of that. But this is an adult romance novel where we follow both of our main characters who are werewolves, and I believe they're doctors. But when I originally saw this cover, like, because I knew that this book came out a few months ago, and I saw the cover, you see the footprints? I thought this was a contemporary romance about veterinarians, but no, they're werewolves. This next book, I didn't really want to read it. It wasn't really on my radar, but everyone keeps raving about it. It's been on people's top books of 2023, so I think I should just read it. And one of my favorite booktubers talked about it, and that's The 7-Year Slip by Ashley Poston. I know that there's time travel, and I don't really know how I feel about time travel. I think that's why I didn't really want to pick this up, just because of the raving reviews. I'm gonna try to read this. Okay, next I have Never by Jessa Hastings. I haven't even started Magnolia Parks. I did read a few pages of Magnolia Parks and I just wasn't feeling it, so I did do a soft DNF, but I didn't get that far. Like, I was on page 3 or something like that. I heard that this is a new series and I do want to get started on it as the books are slowly coming out. I believe this is a Peter Pan retelling, and the main character is Wendy, and instead of Wendy falling in love with Peter, she falls in love with Captain Hook. Sorry, my camera cut off. But we follow Wendy. She falls in love with Captain Hook rather than Peter, or there's like a love triangle, and the premise sounds really intriguing to me. So I'm very excited to read this one, even though I know not a lot of people like it. Please let me know if I should read this before I should read Magnolia Park, so I'm like not as disappointed, or if I should start with Magnolia, finish Magnolia, and then get to this. So the next 2 books are part of a manga series. I have Blood on the Track, volume 10 and volume 11. I'm someone who likes to read one manga series at a time, and this is what I'm currently reading. I haven't read these yet, but I'm slowly making my way. I just want to spread it out, you know. This is a really fun manga series. I highly recommend it. We just watched the dynamic between this 13-year-old boy and his mother and how toxic and abusive it is. The mother is really controlling. In her eyes, she sees it as her protecting her son at all costs. I don't know how many volumes there are gonna be, but I feel like we should be reaching the end sometime soon. Okay, this next book is a book talk / booktube favorite and one of the OGs, Archer's Voice by Mia Sheridan. For a long time I didn't really want to read this just because I just had no interest in it. People say it's really sad, and I'm craving to feel something. Like, I want to feel something sad. The last sad book I tried to read was If He Had Been With Me by Laura Nolan. Because I knew it was sad, I kind of expected the ending, so I didn't cry at all. And I think I rated that book 3 stars. I'm hoping this one actually makes me cry and actually gets me. The next book is a book that's been going around BookTube the past few months or so. It's Butcher and Blackbird by Brynne Weaver. So we follow a serial killer who falls in love with another serial killer, but they believe that their murder is justified because they're killing bad people. And I've heard a lot of mixed things. People are saying it's more of a romance than it is two serial killers falling in love. Apparently there's not a lot of graphic scenes, but then a lot of other people are saying that it's super graphic. This is pretty high on my TBR. Okay, the next two books are YA fantasies. The first one being A Study in Drowning by Ava Reid. I have no idea what this is about, but everyone says this is really good, and I'm assuming this is dark academia, but I'm very excited. But this has also been getting mixed reviews. And then the other one is Where the Dark Stands Still by A.B. Poranek, and this cover is stunning. I saw people on Goodreads say that if you like Studio Ghibli, then you would like this. So I'm assuming it's like a dark, cozy, cottagecore fantasy, which I'm very intrigued by, and I definitely want to see what I think about this. So this might also be a little high on my TBR. So those are all the books that I purchased since January. For any of these books, if you think that I should read them sooner rather than later, please let me know down below, because I'm very excited to get to all of these, obviously, because like, why would I buy them? Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!